In this video, I just want to introduce you to software that we're going to be using to edit our pages. If you go to the course under Software tab, the very first listing is NotePad++. Now, HTML is just plain text code. It's nothing fancy. You don't need to compile it, or you don't need a compiler to compile it or anything else. It's just plain text, and the browser reads the plain text and interprets it based on the syntax it's written in. So one of my preferences, and actually the book also has this as its preference, is NotePad++. And you can get this either for your desktop, or if you want to run it on your flash drive wherever you go, you can get portable apps and add it to portable apps. And there's a link here to go to portable apps if you want to learn more about that, and a link to actually download it. When you install the NotePad++, just accept all the defaults the first time through until you really get to know it, and then you can decide if you want to change any of those as you go on. NotePad++ is just a plain text editor, as I said. The interesting thing with NotePad++ is that you can code in any language you want. Now, that doesn't mean that it has compilers in it and all that. So you can code XML, HTML, cascading style sheets, C, C#, C++, Visual Basic, VB. You can code in all these, and what it does is it color codes it just like your Visual Studio or any other development would. So if we were going to write code for HTML, I would go here to language and automatically choose HTML. That way, when I started writing my code, you can see that it actually color codes it. It isn't proper code, but if I was to put attributes in it, which we'll talk about later, if I was to put an attribute that the background color, if I was going to change that to red, you can see then that the color of the attribute is red, the color of all the tags are blue, and the values are kind of a purplish color, or kind of an off blue. So it's color coordinated, and if you make a mistake, like I forget the closing bracket there, you can see the rest of the code starts changing colors, so you know something's wrong. Now when I'm done and I actually want to save it, I can either go to the Save button here, File, Save, Save As, or I can right mouse click the tab and do a Save or Save As. But when I go to save it the first time, you get the Save dialog box, and you can decide where you want to save it, choose whatever folder or whatever, and then all you need to do is give it a name. But you don't have to give it an extension, because if you look at the Save As type, it's going to save it as a hypertext markup language. HTML, HTML, SHTML. It's going to save it automatically. Or you could choose the type of file that you want to save it as. So if you didn't choose a language and you wanted to save this as VB, you would just choose the VB. And when you save it, it'll automatically add that extension. So when I go back in and want to open it, here's the demo I just saved. You see it has the extension of HTML. So you don't have to worry about the extension on there either. The other nice thing, and I'm just going to open up a file that we'll look at in chapter 2 when we get to that, but I just want to open up this one file. This just has some headings in it. You also have under Run, if you click that, you have shortcuts to launch it in Firefox, IE, Chrome, Safari, the 4 major browsers. Now, it's not going to open it up in Chrome if you don't have Chrome installed, but if you do have Chrome installed, it'll open it up in that. Same thing for Firefox. So if I was to take this page now and launch it in Firefox, it will bring up Firefox and show me that file. I know it's on my hard drive because of the file protocol that it starts out with here. If I wanted to look at this in Chrome, I could click the Chrome button and it would open it up in Chrome. So it's a very quick way of being able to view it without going through the hassle of going to the browser and then browsing for the file you want to open and all that. It's a quick and easy way of doing that. I will point out one thing though: if you change it, this will turn red, meaning it's not saved, and if you run it with it not being saved, you're still going to get the old thing. So whenever you make any changes, you want to make sure that you save it and then run it so that you actually see the code. And we're going to be talking about all this code in the next video, starting with chapter 2. So that's the NotePad++, and we're going to be using this for the first 3 weeks of the term, and then we're going to switch to Visual Studio.